Hi everyone, Zarina here and welcome to another painty episode. So this is my palette from the last painting. I've got too much black on it, so I'm going to take some of that off, but I want to turn this into something monochromatic. It's already a dark blue, which I kind of layered because it's kind of a Chinese, no it's not Chinese, it's kind of a Japanese watercolor paper actually. So it's quite thin. It's like, it's not tissue paper as such, but it is, I'd say it's probably 140 GSM or 180, something like that. So it's not really thick, but it's actually quite nice to paint on. So I went ahead and did a layer of something a while back, and I think that's an indigo. So you've got an indigo on there already. And then I was using this as a palette for the tree line that we did. And I'm going to add some more paint to this maybe, but first of all maybe I should move some paint around. So I've taken some of the black away and I'm just going to move that around a little bit, see what we get. I don't want it too thick. Move that around here, and now I'm going to add more white. I'm just going to paint it on. So I've got my so it's the Kryler heavy body that I'm using, and the black was the De La Rowney Noir, the simple range, which is like you can get like a whole bunch in a in a tray. So they're kind of handy, they are, if you want little bits of color. That's good for me because I don't, like I said, I don't, well I said this in the last one, I didn't say in this one, but I don't actually use a lot of black. Now I might leave some of that under because that blue's quite nice actually, isn't it? Yeah, so just moving it around a little bit, seeing what we get. Right, so thinking, you know, sort of a landscape maybe. It doesn't have to be, it can be an abstract. Yeah, so actually now I suppose I've kind of lost the whatever I had on the palette, and it's actually now become something quite different. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that over there. I mean, I might have to lose it later anyway because it's the nature of these things. But whatever you've got underneath usually gets lost. I mean, sometimes you can save it. Sometimes you can't. I'm cleaning my palette. It's my little wonky one that I'm using. I'm just going to move some of this colour around and see what I get underneath. That's quite nice because that blue tone underneath, which was, like I said, an indigo. So if you want to use a colour, what you can do is you can use a blue with a dark colour like a black, and then you'll get a kind of a darker blue anyway. So if you haven't got an indigo, because you know, you might not necessarily have all the colours in your palette. And I might have even made this myself. I mean, I did actually, the underpainting was from a while back, so actually I'm kind of liking what's happening there. Maybe there's too much of it though. Maybe there's a bit too much, you know, I don't know. So I'm just like, you know, scratching in because it kind of seems like a fun thing to do. I might go over some of that scratching as well. Let's move this around as well. Right, I'm just going to block that. There we go. So we've got some blocks of colour as well. So it's nice to have some blocks. This is kind of a darker grey. Now put a little bit of black there. Take some more black into it. There you go. I don't know what this is. It's kind of like just happened, and I'm kind of liking that shape really. So I'm probably going to keep it. It kind of, to me, it's some sort of structure and some kind of entrance perhaps. So yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Well, to me. Right. Now I'm going to use my rigger, and I've got black on it. I'm just going to take that black and just curl it up a little bit like this. Just see what we get. See what transpires. Now the thing with rigger is that it is thinnish, but it's not really thin. So if you want a really thin line, you might need to use a smaller brush or a thinner one with a thinner tip. I'm going hog wild here, you know, just because I feel like it. And always you can go over things anyway. It's not necessary to, you know, just stay stuck doing one thing. I think the whole point is to have a bit of fun with it anyway. So this is, I suppose, that stage, you could call it, where you just messing around and experimenting, seeing what works and what's not going to work, you know. And anything you like the look of that you think works. I mean, I'm kind of liking that now, that bit here. Whereas before it was a little bit boring, you know. But this empty space, yeah, I'm kind of liking the fact that it is, but it's not really empty, it's kind of solid, isn't it? So, you know, but do we need the white up here? Maybe we need black up here. So I'm going to take my rigger through the black, and I'm not really putting any water on it, as you can see. I'm just going to start it off from here. I don't know if I want it down here, actually. I could take one up from down here and see what happens. But by the time it gets up there, it's kind of gone grey, isn't it? It's not even... Oh, there we go. There's one. Right. And that kind of alludes to some sort of organics, I suppose. You know, which is the world, isn't it, we live in. Uh-oh, I've messed up that now. And I don't really want to mess it up, so I'm going to go back in. I'm going to go in and brush that out again, because I kind of like it. So over this side it's really busy, and we probably want to make it a little bit less busy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and put a bit of black on here and get that solid space back again. And then here, I'm not quite sure I like that either, so I'm going to put some white on there, perhaps. Yeah, so I'll just get some white out of my... It's kind of turned grey, but you know, I think I need a light colour up here, and I am going to go over that bit now. Not all of it, some of it, not all of it. Yeah, so do I need to let it dry a little bit before I do anything else? Not sure. See, the grey is just so overpowering, and I think I've got too much grey on there now, so I'm going to take this off and pop it over there on that palette. I've got another new palette going on over here. There it is. So, sorry you didn't see that, but yeah. Yeah, so I feel there's just too much grey going on over here, which I'm not quite sure I like. I think I like what's happening down below there, but I'm not sure I like that. So I'm going to put some white on the top. Just develop that a little bit. Oh, that's better. Yeah. I think having everything a bit too samey, like the same colour, it kind of throws you a little bit. It's like, oh, well, you know, what do I do now with that? And I think what you've got to do is you've got to think, okay, so contrasting, what isn't and what is contrasting. And I just felt that top was just a bit too static. There was no manoeuvring, there's no room for anything really. So it needed to brighten up a bit, needed to be lighter, and maybe some marks needed to happen. Like, you know, you need to like mess around with your marks. The marks didn't all have to be the same. And it's going a bit grey again, because obviously it's all mixing, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to put another layer on, I think. I'm going to put another layer of white on there, possibly. And maybe I might want to angle the brush this way, sort of, and sort of allude to that structure, you know, and be like, confirm the structure even, you know. Might be what I want to do. Okay, so I'm liking it so far. I think this is quite nice. It's next to a very dark area, so that's dark and that's dark, and it's just quite, it's slightly not dark enough, that is. So does that need to be lighter? That's the question. Or do we need to have a barrier between the two? And that's another question. So I think, yeah, I think a barrier between the two will work, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take some, oh, let me just dry that and take some of that away. Go back in with my lines. Oh, no, I'm kind of liking that, whatever that is. Don't know what it is at the moment. It's something. It's something, we don't know what it is. And I don't want the horizon-y kind of line. I suppose we could call it a horizon line. I don't want it to be totally straight either. I kind of want it to bend a bit, yeah. Right, so I've got that, and I've still got this kind of weird kind of shape, and I'm wondering, did that need to be a different color? Does it need to be that color? Does it need to be a bit darker, a bit lighter? It's one of those, isn't it? It's one of those that you're not quite sure until you actually do something. Maybe what I need to do is put something inside that color, and just have an edge. So have an edge of the dark on the inside as something. So I'm just going to take some color away so it dries quicker. And on the inside, I'm going to put some white. So I'm going to get a different brush, because the brushes are all a bit grubby. So I can get some white, because we haven't got, that's nice, we haven't got any bright white anywhere. That's nice. Would that have done better to be square? I don't know. Yeah, and does it even need to be there? Should it have moved? Should it have been somewhere else? At the moment, I'm going to leave it now, because I'm like, okay, it's there. I'm going to add a bit more white here as well, and brighten this sky up a little bit. Well, or structure, sky or structure, whatever it is, to brighten it up a little bit. And I mean, you can brighten up area. You don't have to brighten up the whole thing either. You can just brighten up some of the areas. So for instance, that one just there, next to the dark. You know, so you get the dark and light quite near each other. That's quite nice, yeah. And right, okay. Let's get my palette knife now. Move that around a little bit. There we are. It's got a snowy feel to it, I think, you know. Feels kind of snowy, doesn't it? Like, what is this thing here? Thing is, you know, in the landscape, right, there are so many like weird odd structures anyway, aren't there, if you think about it. Yeah, it's giving it some kind of form, actually, just trying to make an edge on it or something, making it into its own thing. Actually, I quite like that. You know, it's kind of like a screen or something. Right, so that's that, and then, you know, it's becoming quite surreal, isn't it? You know, you could like add in some things. You could add in some imagery if you wanted to. I mean, I probably won't, because I don't usually do that, but you know, you could add something in there, like a little, like my mum is always saying, why don't you put a little man in there? Or a cat, you know, because, you know, cats are good. This is an interesting brush. It's got these sort of, can you see the bristles? Yeah, they've kind of been messed around with, so you've got these like little grassy looking bristles. So let's see what we can get. See, get like a little, do a couple here. Oh, actually, I think that works, actually covering that slightly. Yeah, there we go. Right, I think I rather like it like that. That's not totally solid, so there is kind of an idea of somewhere, you know, you can go into it, or somehow, you know, like that. And then you've got this kind of organic-y looking area in the front, in the foreground, which I'm kind of liking, actually. Yeah, let's add in some black. Yes, we've got organics here. I don't really want to put organics everywhere, you know. It's all right to have a few here and there, but you know, you don't really want them everywhere, because I don't know, it just becomes a bit overwhelming, doesn't it? And I would say this is more like something perhaps less countryside, more cityscape, really, you know. And that could be the fence, and behind it could be all kinds of junk. Which is what you get. This is what you get in the city. One area is nice and all like built up, and the things that are not totally built up, there's kind of weird stuff going on all over the place, you know. There's things, there's plants, just haggard looking things, and some really bright looking things. You know what, maybe I should add in a colour here, like a yellow or something. That's an idea. I'm doing it. Right, okay, let me find a yellow. It needs to be a bright yellow. I've got the Reeves one here. Let's see how bright it is. Where would we add it? Somewhere here maybe. What do you reckon? I'm just gonna take it neat because I only want a little dot, I think. Don't want loads. Whoa, it's not showing up. You know what I'm gonna have to do first? I'm gonna have to put white down first and then add it to the white. So hang on. So I'll put the white in. Oh yeah, like that. And then the yellow is going to go on top of the white. So I'm just going to clean that off. Because then it will show up. Otherwise it's not going to show up, is it? You know, let's face it. Yellow is one of those things. Because they're always like a little bit translucent, you see. They're not. And my dots are not even, you know, round or anything. It doesn't matter. I don't want them round, actually. That's a bit too precise. I don't feel like this painting needs to have precise dots or anything like that. And I mean, this is the first coat of yellow. I could put another coat on when this one's dry. What that will do is it will make it a little bit thicker, and it will, yeah. I've got too many dots now, I don't know. Not too many. Just take some away if you want to, can't you? I don't know. I kind of like them. I think I'll leave them. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, definitely reminding me of the city now. This one is, yeah. You could give this legs, and that could be a billboard even. Right. Now let's move some stuff out of the way and look at the painting on its own and see what we think of it. Right. The table is a little bit. Why is it grubby? I did clean it. But... Right, hang on. Let's look at it. It's got a bit of grubbiness. Let's just clean that table a bit. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get another table, I think. This one's already already started to oopsie-doop. Already started to wear out. Okay, so that's our painting. I don't quite like it. It's quite painterly, isn't it? You know. And like these allude to those little yellow flowers, the little mugworts. Are they called mugworts? They kind of grow in the city. And this could be sort of an entrance to the canal or the river, or something that sort of leads down, or, you know, one of those little places where, you know, maintenance men had to go in and do stuff maybe. Or it could be a huge, I mean, it could be larger. Be quite a lot bigger, but in the distance you can't really see it. And then, you know, this is to me sort of some sort of structure. I mean, maybe the train's up there. Maybe this is the under rail bridge area, you know. And over here, oh, what's happened here? We seem to have got a pink dot there. Where'd that come from? It must have come off one of the brushes. It's just a little bit of debris actually, but and is that now too much on there? You know, the got two colours. Or should I take it off or should I leave it? I'll probably leave it because that's the sort of thing I do. You might want to take it off. Depends how perfectionist you are about these sort of things. I think the history of a painting is about what things sort of happen to it along the way as well. And that's something that's happened to it. So that's definitely an anomaly. So I have to keep the anomaly. What I would say is that this area here, this line is quite thick. And what you might want to do is thin that a little bit. You know, that could just be like a thin demarcation. It didn't need to have to be that thick. On the other hand, if you're looking at sort of perspective, maybe there's more land area there in between that, and therefore you needed that much. So but you know, we're not looking for precise stuff, are we? The other thing is you could probably move that over here even, so you have kind of a balance. At the moment the balance is, I'd say, tenuous, because you've got that, you've got this. So over this is a bit, sort of this side is a little bit heavy with objects, whereas you could, you know, if that was over here, then I think that would have balanced out a bit better, and maybe that should have come over here. But then again, you were faced with the same problem. So maybe this would have to sort of go over, you know, or you'd have to think about this area and how to develop it, perhaps. Yeah, but that would be another episode, wouldn't it? Anyway, I'm signing off for now, so have fun.